Hey, this is Notser, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Goliath. This is the Tier 10 British Heavy Cruiser, and I think this is going to end up being the final release version. We're nearing the end of round 2 testing for these guys on live client, and I really enjoy what I see. So I'm going to talk about the build as if it's what my final build would be, show off some of the gameplay, why am I doing what, when can I take advantage of the strengths that the ship has, that sorts of thing. And as we're speaking about this, the build on the screen, extended duration hydro. I like the hydro on this now that it's in extended range compared to the first version. All the other modules are pretty straightforward. As far as the commander is concerned, instead of getting a second level 4 skill, I chose to invest more in my tank ability and just quality of life play. Expert loader is a very nice skill. Preventive Maintenance is also very nice, and they're very cheap, so I like that. And Jack of all trades, Adrenaline Rush, Expert Loader, all nice level 2 skills that all contribute to the Goliath and the British Heavies as a whole in the right sorts of way. Now, this enemy, Georgia, is trying to push forward. I don't know why he's choosing to do that. We've actually set a fire already on him, and I am looking to relight some fires. HE is absolutely one of the biggest traits for the British, and Tier 10 especially. You get 12 234mm guns with 1/4 HE pin, which brings it to 58mm of penetration, baked into the shell. That's an insane amount of shell penetration. Pretty much every ship in the game cannot hide from you, and if you want to go crazy, you could go IFHE, get it over 60, and then fire for free on Kremlins and Soyuz at their 60mm top deck. I don't really think that that's necessary because every other ship in the game seemingly can deal with these ships in a reasonable amount of time. Why would I need to invest in IFHE as well? But that was the first version of this. It used to not have the 1/4 baked in, but it does, and it's only on the 234s. The 203s have the regular 1/6 pin, and that comes out to be about like 33mm of penetration. So yeah, we've got the 12 guns. The reload is slow. It's very Japanese, it's very Italian, and that's why I think Expert Loader is mandatory. You're not going to get the best AP broadsides as something like the Des Moines. You're going to have to really compromise on the time it takes for you to reload a devastating shot. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish that the guns were a little bit more friendly with that regard. You know, like, the Des Moines is just a monster when it comes to everything because of that reload. But the AP shells on the Des Moines are just so much better. Normalized angles, faster rate of fire, bigger surprise. It's got it all. Now, the only thing the Goliath really has over it is the Alpha. The Alpha is very heavy, but its damage per minute, its rate of fire, its normalization for AP, not the best, and I can't believe that this enemy Shima decided to make this crazy play. Now, he's going to catch the back half of us, but we're able to move through this gap fast enough, and with that 5-kilometer range hydro, we can actually keep him spotted inside of his smoke. So I decide, okay, we're going to aggressively round this and push into his smoke. Now that we know he's used all 3, I just need to get within 5 of his ship, unload my 12 guns, and maybe alpha him out of the game. That is the goal here, and it wasn't a possibility before the most recent hydroacoustic changes. 3-kilometer range, and yeah, the alphas are so big. 3-kilometer range just doesn't do it. And I'm glad they made that change because it does put a little bit more fear in enemy DDs in your ability to aggressively push. It has single launch torpedoes, and I think that's a great feature as well. Just like the Cheshire, you can sort of set up a ship, force him to commit one way, and then cross with the remaining half of your torpedoes. Yes, it's only 1 launcher per side, but the way the Brits function, it might as well be 2. You know, it's just a nice little trait that they get to benefit from. They're the only nation in the game that has the single launch torpedo, and it ends up working great on the Goliath as well. The heel, of course, it's a super heel. This is something like a battleship, British battleship. You really want to try and leverage it with premium consumables. Superintendent, because if you don't, you only get one. One heel is a joke. I highly encourage players invest in super and premium for these guys. You won't regret it. The more heals you have, the more spectacular the recovery, and your enemies are going to underestimate him. So, any other comments or questions that I may try to address? You know, obviously the early access is in 9.0. The Brits already have their second flag and their alternative camo. They don't, however, have a legendary commander, and I don't believe they will get one with these guys. I just have that feeling. They haven't mentioned anything. They would normally try and hype up something. So I think the event is going to be pretty simple. It's going to give you a chance to have access to these guys, but it's not going to give you something else. I think Wargaming's kind of moving away from these mega events that sort of set you up for the best of the best when a line comes out. But the Goliath itself, you know, this is a pretty awesome ship. It's very intimidating. It's very effective at what it's trying to do. The turret traverse is very usable. The active maneuverability potential, the potential damage mitigation, all of that is in its favor. It is very nice. The rudder itself is pretty battleship slow. I think this rudder, with the enhanced rudder module, is like 10 seconds. So you will definitely notice just how stiff this cruiser feels, but the added extra armor on the deck is going to allow for near maximum range maneuvering and forcing the enemy to ricochet more frequently than a typical cruiser at this tier. And that gives you a lot of power. You know, normal battleships sort of prey on every cruiser, whereas something like the Goliath, yes, the battleship can still, you know, overmatch the nose, and you still are a cruiser with a citadel. But if you play it out right, you can really run circles around them and do tons of damage. And I really enjoy that potential. Now, here we go. Enemy Worcester, near perfect broadside, right? I'm just trying to aim my AP. We used Expert Loader to get the reload down. The reload still longer than the Des Moines reload, even with Expert Loader. And we do get a huge AP broadside, but now we have to reload again. And by the time we actually get our second AP reloaded, what do you guess? The enemy's already angled away. That is the quintessential British heavy experience with AP. Whenever you're engaged with a target, you basically have one shot. Once you get that one shot, you should pretty much auto switch to HE, unless they're a total dork. They're not going to let you broadside them twice in 15 seconds. It's just not going to happen. And this is kind of a weak area that I'm in right now, where it's like, what is going on? All these cruisers. Oh yes, Brindisi, give me your side. He's also a super slow reload. And of course, more ricochet. If I would have just loaded HE, I probably could have done 2 10,000 point salvos, or near 8 to 10, instead of getting tons of ricochets. You know, trying to go for that Citadel, it's great for the Des Moines. Really fast reload, really great normalized AP angles. For the Goliath, it's a really hard proposition. Both with the reload time, the gun velocity itself, it's not very fast. So that's going to add even more time. You know, by the time you actually reload and fire your gun at the target, they get an extra 2 or 3 seconds over something like the Italian cruisers. Where the Italian cruisers, they can get those shells out quicker, hit a moving target easier. The Goliath can't do that. You know, Goliath really specializes in targets that are stationary or slow or sluggish, or something is impeding their ability to avoid. That's where the Goliath really excels. And ooh, come on, Worcester. You know you want to show your side. You know you want to show your beautiful side. Come on, come on, come on. I'm really... Oh, man, we're going to switch to AP. Expert Loader. Super slow, super slow. Aim at the waterline, hoping that we can hit him. This is kind of hairy. I didn't realize the game was this close. We do some good damage, but no Citadel. And we're going to try and tank a little bit in a really awkward position. This enemy Missouri easily overmatches my nose. But he doesn't overmatch the top of the deck. So if I stay back further, you know, comfortably, the shell arc is not going to work in his favor versus being like point blank. So I'm just trying to slow it down and make it the hardest he can possibly be. And we did pretty good there. You know, the shells went roughly where we expected, and they ricocheted roughly where we hoped. And that is a nice feature of the Goliath. I really can't complain about having that extra armor. Is it on the side similar to the Italians? Well, no. But it is very usable in its own way. Probably the biggest feature is that heal itself, and we're just keeping this Brindisi spotted for our teammates as they round the island. Friendly gets him, but friendly gets got too. And now we just have a DD and 2 cruisers, the Des Moines, the Worcester, and I think the Lightning. And someone tried to torp across my bow. I, of course, was able to avoid it. And I figure, you know what? We can move forward. We try maybe to take out the target, maybe use some of our health. We do have our super, and depending on how much damage we take, and of course there's a Lightning, but I already have AP loaded, and he is single launching his torpedoes, so I just want to kill a Des Moines, and of course we pull the trigger right as the Des Moines dead. He was going to die though, and glad that he did, but one torpedo makes contact, switch to HE, and now the Lightning, he's attempting to kill us. He thinks he actually has a chance, and I'm here to tell you, Lightning, you have no chance. None whatsoever. Don't underestimate the heal potential in these guys. It's very significant. If you see them below 10 or 20%, good chance they're going to heal back up to 50%, just as the British battleships. So you don't want to overcommit your hand until you see what your opponent has. And I think the Brits, among all the other ones, they really have the potential to recover the most. Can't use radar. You know, this doesn't have defensive AA. We don't have speed boost. But we do have our ship and its health. And we can use that to absorb a ton of shots for us. I was trying to deal with this Worcester so bad. We do have AP. We load it, and he's perfectly broadside, so we're going to do near massive damage. A little bit overpin, surprised by that. And we don't actually get a Citadel on the follow-up, and I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. It's very difficult to follow up with AP broadsides in this, unless the person's just wanting to die. It's not happening in the Goliath, and that is a disappointment, especially versus other cruisers who invariably leave themselves open. It's just not going to happen as frequently as something like the Des Moines, which we all know is an AP juggernaut. It's just one of the compromises you have to make with something like the Goliath. For that long reload, your AP just suffers a lot. But the HE, 58 millimeters of penetration, 12 234 millimeter guns with super high fire chance. This is going to deal with Moskva, Stalingrad, Yamato, and GK quite nicely with that 50 plus millimeters or so that they have. This is going to be great against that. It can't equip radar, and that is a big downside, and I can totally understand that. And it doesn't have British acceleration baked in, but what it does have, super heal and that HE shell, it could be very intriguing. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent or the most relevant uploads. You could also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World Wars videos, first impression, how-to, news, and review related. My North American recruit invite is on the screen. You can take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.